Hello and welcome to Not Alone Today, Chronological Bible Reading Plan. Today we'll be reading Numbers 34 to 35 using the New Translation, the New Living Translation.
Chapter 34. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Give these instructions to the Israelites. When you come into the land of Canaan, which I'm giving you as your special possession, these will be the boundaries. The southern portion of your country will extend from the wilderness of Zin along the edge of Edom. The southern boundary will begin on the east at the Dead Sea. It will then run south past Scorpion Pass in the direction of Zin. Its southernmost point will be Kadesh Barnea, from which it will go to Azar Adar and on to Asmon. From Asmon, the boundary will turn toward the brook of Egypt and end at the Mediterranean Sea.
Your western boundary will be the coastline of the Mediterranean Sea. Your northern boundary will begin at the Mediterranean Sea and run east to Mount Hor, then to Lebo Hamath, and on to Zidad, and Zipron to Hazar Enan. This will be your northern boundary.
Your eastern boundary will start at Hazar Enan and run to Shepham, and then down to Riblah on the east side of Ain. From there, the boundary will run down along the eastern edge of the Sea of Galilee, and then along Jordan River to the Dead Sea. These are the boundaries of your land.
Then Moses told the Israelites, "This territory is the homeland you are to divide among yourselves by sacred lot. The Lord has commanded that the land be divided among the 9.5 remaining tribes. The families of the tribes of Reuben, Gad, and half the tribe of Manasseh have already received their grants of land on the east side of the Jordan River, across from Jericho toward the sunrise."
And the Lord said to Moses, "Eleazar the priest and Joshua son of Nun are men designated to divide the grant of land among the people. Enlist one leader from each tribe to help them with the task. These are the tribes and the names of the leaders. From Judah, Caleb son of Jephunneh. From Simeon, Shemuel son of Ammihud. From Benjamin, Elidad son of Kislon. From Dan, Buki son of Jogli. From Manasseh son of Joseph, Aniel son of Ephod. From Ephraim son of Joseph, Kemuel son of Shiftan. From Zebulun, Elizaphan son of Panak. From Issachar, Paltiel son of Azan. From Asher, Ahihud son of Shelomi. From Naphtali, Padahel son of Ammihud."
These are the men the Lord has appointed to divide the grants of land in Canaan among the Israelites.
Chapter 35. While Israel was camped beside the Jordan on the plains of Moab across the Jericho, the Lord said to Moses, "Command the people of Israel to give to the Levites from their property certain towns to live in, along with the surrounding pasture lands. These towns will be for the Levites to live in, and the surrounding lands will provide pasture for their cattle, flocks, and other livestock. The pasture land assigned to the Levites around these towns will extend 1,500 feet from the town walls in every direction. Measure off 3,000 feet outside the town walls in every direction, east, south, west, north, with the town at the center. This area will serve as the larger pasture land for the towns."
6 of the towns you give the Levites will be cities of refuge, where a person who has accidentally killed someone can flee for safety. In addition, give them 42 other towns. In all, 48 towns with the surrounding pasture land will be given to the Levites. These towns will come from the property of the people of Israel. The larger tribes will give more towns to the Levites, while the smaller tribes will give fewer. Each tribe will give property in proportion to the size of its land.
The Lord said to Moses, "Give the following instructions to the people of Israel. When you cross the Jordan into the land of Canaan, designate cities of refuge to which people can flee if they have killed someone accidentally. These cities will be places of protection from a dead person's relatives who want to avenge the death. The slayer must not be put to death before being tried by the community. Designate 6 cities of refuge for yourselves, 3 on the east side of the Jordan River, and 3 on the west in the land of Canaan. These cities are for the protection of Israelites, foreigners living among you, and traveling merchants. Anyone who accidentally kills someone may flee there for safety.
But if someone strikes and kills another person with a piece of iron, it is murder, and the murderer must be executed. But if someone with a stone in his hand strikes and kills another person, it is murder, and the murderer must be put to death. Or if someone strikes and kills another person with a wooden object, it is murder, and the murderer must be put to death. The victim's nearest relative is responsible for putting the murderer to death. When they meet, the avenger must put the murderer to death. So if someone hits another person and waits in ambush, then pushes him or throws something at him and he dies, it is murder. Or if someone hits another person and hits him with a fist and he dies, it is murder. In such cases, the avenger must put the murderer to death when they meet.
But suppose someone pushes another person without having shown previous hostility, or throws something that unintentionally hits another person, or accidentally drops a huge stone on someone, though they were not enemies, and the person dies. If this should happen, the community must follow these regulations in making a judgment between the slayer and the avenger, the victim's nearest relative. The community must protect the slayer from the avenger and must escort the slayer back to live in the city of refuge to which he fled. There he must remain until the death of the high priest, who was anointed with sacred oil.
But if the slayer ever leaves the limits of the city of refuge, and the avenger finds him outside the city and kills him, it will not be considered murder. The slayer should have stayed inside the city of refuge until the death of the high priest. But after the death of the high priest, the slayer may return to his own property. These are legal requirements for you to observe from generation to generation, wherever you may live.
All murderers must be put to death, but only if evidence is presented by more than one witness. No one may be put to death on the testimony of only one witness. And also, you must never accept a ransom payment for the life of someone judged guilty of murder and subject to execution. Murderers must always be put to death. And never accept a ransom payment from someone who has fled to a city of refuge, allowing a slayer to return to his property before the death of the high priest. This will ensure that the land where you live will not be polluted, for murder pollutes the land, and no sacrifice except the execution of the murderer can purify the land from murder. You must not defile the land where you live, for I live there myself. I am the Lord who lives among the people of Israel. This is the word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
So just a summary of what we've read from chapter 34 to 35. First in 34, we read about the boundaries of the land and how this was shared and divided between the tribes of Israel. And then 35, we read about the towns to be set apart for the Levites, 48 towns in total. And then in the same chapter, we read about the city of refuge and what should be done when someone unintentionally murders another.
Okay. Yeah, for me, in chapter 34, it's just what stood out to me is, again, those list of names of leaders from each tribe that were enlisted to assist Eleazar and Joshua in dividing the land when they eventually get to the promised land, how the land will be divided amongst the people. And again, that spotlights the issue of working together as a team. We don't want to be the sole leader of our community, whatever kind of leadership context we find ourselves. There is always wisdom in enlisting others to take these decisions together. I like the phrase, the plurality of leadership within church contexts, where churches are being led by a presbytery, by elders, where not one man has all the authority in heaven and on earth to dictate the affairs of the church. But that applies to really any community. We want to work together. We say in our cultural parlance that two good heads are always better than one. And the Bible teaches the same in different ways. A cord of 3 strands will not easily be broken. Yeah. Chapter 35, anything stood out to you? I'm sure that the city of refuge concept, as we were reading it, I'm thinking of some of the conversations we've had about law, about murder, and I'm like, okay, this is Anu's domain.
I like how that the Levites were given their own towns and pasture land. So in that case, they have the inheritance as well. And then the cities of refuge. The first time I came across these cities of refuge was in a novel. I can't remember who wrote it. I think it's Tessa Ashfa, I think. And it was a story. It either her or one of those biblical novel writers where they would use like a context in the Bible, like something like a city of refuge, and coin a story from there. And it was so vivid to see how that the avenger would pursue the slayer. And because in those days there was no car or any modern means of transportation. So imagine running from one end of a town to another, because these 6 cities, there are 3 on the east side of the Jordan River and 3 on the west side of the land of Canaan. So just picture how that if someone commits an unintentional murder in the north, now they would have to run either to the west, to the ones in Canaan, or to the ones at the side of Jordan to find refuge. And they are being pursued by an angry avenger. Now picture if it's a woman. It's just like, for one thing, I'm so grateful that God carved this out, that there's a city of refuge, and that the person can then move back to their own property at the death of the high priest in that city. So there is mercy, and the mercy was nailed in stone by God, saying it's a legal requirement. In that once the person steps their leg across that threshold, you can't harm them. And God purposefully also said that you can't pay that the person should be brought out so you can kill them. So that to me felt like, thank God, there's a place to run to. Just like the mercy seat that we run to on a daily basis. When the avenger, the devil comes roaring his head and judging us and accusing us, we can continually run to the mercy seat and ask for mercy.
Absolutely. Yeah. I find it a very beautiful picture. And then when you bring this again as a symbol of our current reality, the present truth of salvation on the other side of Jesus' death, burial, and resurrection, in which Jesus has become our high priest. The good news is that he is the high priest that never dies. So to be saved, to come to Jesus for salvation, is to come to a city of refuge, in which case the high priest never dies, which literally means you are covered for life. You have escaped the pursuit of the grip of sin and death to want to squeeze the life out of you. You have crossed into the city of refuge, and that city of refuge is Jesus in his very self. Proverbs 18 verse 10, the name of the Lord is a strong tower. The righteous runs into it and they are saved. And they are saved securely and eternally, because the high priest in this city never ever dies. He lives to make intercession for us. Hebrews says. So he's alive forevermore. And that's the good news. Yeah. So thank you for joining us for the 50, our Jubilee episode, as we reflected on Numbers 34 and 35. We'll turn the page again on day 51 as we bring the book of Numbers to a close. And then we'll be looking forward to Deuteronomy the last of the Pentateuch, the first 5 books of the scriptures. And so much to still look forward to. And we hope you'll be back here with us on day 51. But till then, just remember,
you're not alone.
Today.
God bless you.
You.